First of all, I want to thank everyone who took part in my Instagram poll. I now want to try to make these videos shorter because I guess 30 minutes is really a long time to sit in front of a screen, and nowadays we don't have time. And I'm also going to continue to do them in English. I'm going to put German subtitles as I think it reaches a wider audience. Today I want to talk about this particular image. This is the framed version. It's Barit print, hand printed in the darkroom. I chose this one because it was the most difficult one to print. My darkroom teacher, he advised me to start with the most difficult one. Yes, he advised me to do so, but I didn't really take his advice. I wanted to show my beautiful camera because she hasn't been in the spotlight for that much. So this is my camera, my light, cute, little camera. She had a name, but unfortunately I forgot. Well, this is the camera. This is the thing you put here and then you press it. This is mine actually. It's not yours. But this is my black thingy to put over me and to then sharpen the picture with this thingy. I don't know the English word for it. You have your negative. This is your cassette. Every side you can put a negative like this, and in the darkroom, this little dip should always be in the right corner, and then you try to put it under the thingy. Here's a little thingy, and then you put it under. Wow, I'm so good in explaining it. Great. And then you put this one back, and like this. I put it inside the camera and then take this out, take the picture and turn it around. Close it, and now it has the black facing outside. Now I know that I have an exposed film inside. I take it out the camera. This was the fast version of it because I want to get more into the printing process actually. So I had the conversation about how unique are these prints. I want to explain a little the making of the print, and in order not to justify a price, but in order to show it's very different from digital printing. So here you go. In my last video, I was talking about how I came back from being in France and then going into the laboratory and developed my film. And then after I developed my film, I do have a negative here. I do. But it's hard to find. So this is the box with all the negatives. I think maybe these are even all of them. No, I doubt it. Let's see. This is... it's not the exact one. But it's hard to see really the negatives or what image it is. And of course I didn't really put a tag on it. That would have been helpful, but nah. I'm convinced that these pergamene, I don't know the English word for it, these pergamene cases are more archival proof than plastic, but we'll see in 100 years. Because this is a huge discussion, or not a huge discussion I guess, but of course you can see the negative more easily if you have a clear plastic case, but these I do like because your negative might be a little wet because of this material, it still can breathe, and if you put it into plastic it's not able to breathe, or so this is more friendly to the negative, I feel like, but this is a choice. I'm talking too much already. So shit, I do it like... make sure to use gloves, or make sure your hands are clean. Do not touch the negative, because that would result in fingerprints on it. So this is the negative, like not really the one I wanted to discuss really, but it's from the session, the shooting session. Once you have this, you are able to do contact sheets. They were all like 4 of them were on one paper and I cut them apart. This is not the full amount, I have more. But we're going to talk about this particular picture. The first step is to develop a film. The second step is to do a contact sheet of the film in order to see the basic behavior of the negative. I mean, you'll see it already when you look at the negative. You see if it's dense or not dense. That means you see if it's almost see-through or not see-through. So the not see-through is the dense and the see-through is the not dense. According to this, you can assume how the negative will behave. If it's not dense, the light have it easier to go through. Therefore, you need a shorter exposure time because it's, like it goes easy through the negative and onto the paper. If you have lots of light touching the paper or reaching the paper, it's going to be more quickly dark or black. And if you have a very dense negative, then light goes through the negative less easy. So less light is reaching the paper. You need longer exposure time for the paper in order to see anything, really. I just realized, maybe this goes way too much into detail already. I'm a small nerd in this and I love this, and talking about it, I realized how much I miss doing it. Well, in any case, you have a contact sheet and you can now see already what the negative is doing. You have very bright sides here. That means the negative is really dense. And you have lots of darker sides here on the other side of our face. And so you can see that this negative is less dense. This is very unfortunate to have in one negative such different behaviors, because that means you cannot just have a single exposure and that's it. You need to draw with light. And that is the fun part about it. In comparison to other negatives, here you can see relatively equally exposed contact. There are not particular bright areas and not really dark areas. So it's pretty equal distributed. Her name is Kim, by the way. She has a daughter. Her name is Lila. Her daughter is very bright. Kim is from Belgium. She lives in a very cute, cozy house and has 2 donkeys and a cute garden, and behind the house is a small river flowing, and it was very idyllic. And Kim is a beautiful soul, as every woman I met. But back to how to print. This, by the way, is also just a very simple paper, Foma paper, because it's the cheapest paper you can get, and it's not Barrett. It's the one which is thinner and it's more like a plastic paper. Now that you have some kind of understanding of your negative, you can start trying to print it onto a bigger paper, but still not on Barrett. If you have a lot of money, you can of course try on Barrett paper, but if not, like me, you want to try first on the less expensive paper. The first thing to do is you print it on size like this. I think there I didn't do much. As you can see, these are all small, relatively small pieces of paper. And these you want to use before you print on such a big paper. You want to use smaller papers in order to fine-tune your exposure. Because I'm extremely impatient and I'm extremely confident sometimes in the darkroom, I sometimes tell myself, no, I don't need to fine-tune the exposure. I just know by looking at the negative. But here you can see I did not really had a good gut feeling. It's obviously too bright. And the reason why I made this is because I wanted to see how minimal I can do the exposure in order to get this side of the face right. I wanted to be able to see this side of the eye. If I would have exposed it right on this side, this would be much too dark. And that you can see here. You see this can easily get too dark. The exposure is not the only difference, but the contrast is as well. And in the darkroom, you have 5 different steps of contrast. And usually you start with like a basic contrast would be 2.5. So once you have a pretty decent picture like this, you then start to make circles onto the parts which you want to highlight more and which you know that they need more light. Let's say I do like the eye here, I do like the exposure here, but certainly this is too bright, so I need to expose it more. And maybe this part is fine, but this part is too bright as well, so I need to put more exposure here, but be careful around the neck. I want to see the hairline here, so it doesn't fade into the window. You do it in percentage. You say it needs 100% more of the exposing time. First I used the contrast of 2.5 and then I have an aperture of, usually you choose a middle range aperture, like say your enlarger has an aperture which starts with 2.8 and ends with 22, and then you take the medium one of 8 or 5.6. I've got my contrast to 2.5, I got my aperture to 8 or 5.6, and then the time I'd say, what did I use here? I think I used around 12 seconds. You want it to be in a good range of at least 10 seconds or 20 seconds, and then you're ready to do it on the red paper. Here you can see I have like these little thingies again behind. I wrote down the settings I used so I can, if I want to print it again, I know exactly which one I want. So here I actually can see now that this was the first trial I did, and I chose an aperture of 32. Then I used a time of 21 seconds and the contrast of 1.5. Really liked it here, but I did not like it here. Here I was kind of missing the contrast. And this is fun. So I did the same again, but here I used the same aperture of 32, the same time of 21, the same contrast of 1.5. But I needed some more light on this side. I wanted it more contrasty. So after I exposed it with these settings, I needed to expose it once again, but only this side. So I covered the other eye and only exposed this side again with different settings. I used the same aperture. I used a contrast of 5 because I really wanted to hit it. I used 70% of the light, which will make it something around 14 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. I exposed this side for 15 seconds more and with a contrast of 5. So I had this one. You have the before and after. Having just explained how much I worked on the face, just on the eyes, you can imagine that I worked on very different parts on the whole picture. I guess like some of you might not really get what I mean because if I listen to myself, it sounds very nerdy. All I want to say is it was a shit ton of work. It was so much fun doing it because you can really draw with light. Photography coming from the Greek word photo and graph, and meaning light, and the graph means drawing. You really draw with light here. And it's amazing. It's like a painting really. So these times, they're not always as accurate because I'm not a machine. Each print will have kind of a unique exposing time, and therefore Also, my hand movement doesn't follow the same routine every time. I would call it a unique print, really, because I drew with light onto it like a canvas. So this is it. I hope it gave you a small insight into the work behind the print. If you have any questions or if you want to really understand nerdy stuff, then let me know. I'm in for it. This is it. Thank you for watching. Put any questions into the comments or write me a message. Check out my Instagram if you like. Okay, I'm talking too much. Have a nice, beautiful day and bye-bye.